Ang after-hours train depot promise on the timetable. The depot never really sleeps. By day it is timetables, whistles, voices rehearsed in politeness. After midnight it becomes steel sighing into the dark, fluorescent lights humming their private hymns, and a handful of men who pretend schedules can forgive them. I step through the side gate with my phone face down in my left pocket, the pocket I use for things that are supposed to make it home. My badge beeped green, and I let the heavy door close behind me like a confession. Back home, Daniel had said, "Can we talk tomorrow?" In the voice that really means please stay now. Our couch is good at becoming a courtroom. If we sit at opposite ends long enough, it swears us in. I left before we built closing arguments that would rot by morning. On the platform stairs, my screen lit with a message from in my contacts, L in the way I label hazards to make them smaller. Office above track 12. Just talk. He didn't add a second sentence. He knows my appetite for risk can do the punctuation. By day, I smooth other people's paragraphs for a transit blog that pretends adjectives can make steel romantic. By night, I try not to turn my own sentences into weapons. Daniel and I keep a code that works when we remember it. T means come here. You awake. Means I'm scared. Tomorrow means not yet, but don't vanish. Luca had re-entered orbit 2 months ago when the blog gave me a tour of the depot. He wore a uniform shirt, unbuttoned one too many, and a laugh that sounded like a glass agreeing to be set down gently. He didn't ask for anything. That was how I started bringing him everything. The office above track 12 was glass, dusty, more observation post than desk. From there you could see the whole night pinned to its rails, locomotives sulking, signal lights insisting on their small authority. Luca leaned against the console, collar unpunished, sleeves pushed. A rolled timetable lay under his hand like a reluctant scripture. "You came," he said, "because grown men never tire of pretending arrival is a plot twist." "I came to return something," I said. "My spare key, your restraint." "Your name," I told him. "It's been on my mouth too long for its own health." He unrolled the timetable and flattened it against the console. A stub pencil, scarred from 100 notes, weighted on top. "3 words," he said. "Why are you here?" "3 words is cruel," I said. "That's why they work." He tapped the blank margin. "No speeches in the office. Trains don't like drama, they want clarity." I wrote proud at breakfast. Beneath it, smaller like a fuse I might or might not light, touch before arguing. He read the graphite as if it had temperature. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered a breath from my lapel, the distance a match keeps during training, and fell back to the console like the signal light had given him orders. "Does he know?" Luca asked. He didn't need to weaponize the pronoun. "He knows the apartment is quiet," I said. Below us, a diesel coughed into life, the sound of a throat too old for secrecy. Luca stepped into my weather. Heat arrived before hands do when men are trying to be better than their appetites. "Tell me no," he said, the most indecent mercy in his mouth. I didn't. I met him in the inch that rewrites evenings. His mouth tasted like mint and burnt coffee. When his hand found the back of my neck, his grip remembered humane limits. My body answered like a courtroom that wants the witness anyway. He made the sound men make when a small country surrenders and calls it diplomacy. I made the one I've learned not to hate when it belongs to him. We didn't rush. Rails punish speed with derailments. His mouth found the hinge of my jaw. Mine found the line behind his ear where regret loses vocabulary. His palm slid under my shirt and rested flat a second. "Do you swear?" Then moved with attention rather than appetite. He guided my hand down with the steadiness of someone who respects tools. I closed my fingers and he exhaled into my mouth a truth nobody paid to hear. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because glass prefers prose. The locomotives below pretended they hadn't noticed. "We already cheated," he said when breath remembered its job. "We cheated the night we started telling each other the truth before we told it at home." "I know," I said, and a horn agreed too loudly. He folded the timetable and slid it into my left pocket with ceremonial slowness. His thumb traced my wrist once and decided not to stay. He stepped back the moral inch that passes inspection. "I booked a crew bunk on the siding," he said, not triumphant. "Weather report, not prophecy. Refundable. We could stand at the window and not touch for 60 seconds to prove we remember ceremony. We could keep the do not disturb honest." "I'm tired of being clever," I said. "Clever's a detour," he said. "Accurate is arrival." He rummaged in a drawer and pulled out a novelty magnet shaped like a signal light, ridiculous and perfect, and pressed it into my palm. "For your fridge," he said. "Cold helps letters behave." He showed me the panel that lets him change which tracks breathe. Each button glowed like a temptation. He touched one and a red light turned green 3 tracks over. "All authority is borrowed," he said. "Even this." "You talk like a priest," I said. "Only because I know where confessions derail," he answered. When I left, the night manager looked up from his crossword like a bridge tired of cars. The crosswalk gave me time, I took it. The apartment offered its square of kitchen light and the fridge's patient hum. Daniel sat on the floor with his back against the door, sleeves pushed to his elbows, one ankle crossed over the other, the posture manuals use when they draw people who are about to fix things. He didn't ask where I'd been. He tilted his head toward the place beside him. I sat. "Do you want to be asked?" he said, voice steady, not performing mercy, offering it. "Please," I said, because prompts are the scaffolding of my better self. "Are you lonely?" "Some nights," I said. "Not here. Not when you ask first. Not when the kettle outruns the reasons." I took his wrist and placed his hand on my forearm the way he does when he needs to make sure I'm not inventing weather. His thumb traced once and believed me. "I feel useful," he said. "I want to be wanted before I'm useful." "Tonight's procedure," I said. "Touch first, argue second, report later." The kettle clicked like a stamp in a country that still believes in mail. He poured water over mint. We named it dinner because names are cheaper than regret. I pinned the folded timetable beneath the signal magnet so Proud at Breakfast faced the room. Daniel read the graphite and his mouth did the smaller, braver thing. He took the dry erase marker from the cup by the fridge and wrote beneath the magnet, "Tomorrow, keep the torque." He didn't grin. He nodded like a man assembling a morning from honest screws. We made a rule that isn't noble. When prosecution tries to wear a bathrobe, one of us says depot and the other puts the kettle on while the first puts his hands where history can find them. 5 words when 5 are enough. Stop at the shoulder, not the ditch. Try to want what we promised, and when we don't, write 3 words on small paper and tell the room where we'll fail differently tomorrow. Days do what days do when you're trying to be an amateur human with professional consistency. The folded timetable in my pocket learned the shape of my left hand. Paper learns its carriers. On the late tram, I drafted messages to no one that began "I didn't ask" because I thought that counted as kindness and ended "May your breakfast go right." I didn't send them. The not sending felt like a skill borrowed from departures. Wait, then go. A week later, afternoon tried to be a test. A client asked for romance without accidents. The rain turned sidewalks into confessions. I walked past the depot and bought nothing. I left a bottle of water at the staff door with a note, "For whoever is waiting for a sister." The dispatcher gave me the nod bridges use when they've held and will hold again. On my way home, I slipped a blank schedule card into my pocket and wrote "Turn toward your name" across the clean side. I didn't light anything. Luca and I adjusted our grammar, fewer messages. No bunks with curtains that forgave too much. If we failed quieter. If we stopped without applause. Still, we orbited. He texted a photo of a switch lever with my initials carved in chalk dust. I replied with steam curling over 2 mugs and Daniel's unshowy script under the magnet, torque. We flirted by signals. We confessed by delays. One stormy night, a freight stalled across 3 lines. Luca called. Points jammed, need hands, bring nothing you can't lose. I was too willing. We pried steel, coaxed a stubborn mechanism back into grace. When the rails clicked home, he leaned against the lever, chest still heaving, and kissed me like the night had earned overtime. My back met cold steel. His hand found my hip. Somewhere a horn blew like a witness refusing to perjure itself. We didn't rush. We mapped mercy with our mouths and rehearsal with our hands. His palm slid under my shirt and paused. Do you swear? Then moved as far as the better version of me allowed. I bracketed him with a grip he could leave without proving anything. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because the depot had just forgiven us and deserved the courtesy. We're bad at quitting, he said against my throat. We're good at failing differently, I answered into his collar. He pressed his forehead to mine, stubborn breath between us. Text me a weather report in the morning, he said. Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons. It usually does, I said, when we let it. Daniel met me at home with the posture of a question he had decided not to sharpen. He smelled like basil and laundry that wanted applause. Hungry? He asked, and it wasn't a trap. We ate toast like it had been newly invented. After, he wrote under the magnet, ask before leaving. I wrote, hold me first. We signed like 2 men choosing not to be hatchets. Sometimes he asks if Luca made me feel seen. I tell him yes, and that being seen isn't the same as being kept. He nods like a map allowing a road to be closed without deleting it. Some mornings he places my hand on his chest and says weather, and I answer with steam and minutes and my mouth finding his shoulder before it finds an argument. We fail and fail differently and fail in ways that don't require anyone to stand under departure boards pretending to know which platform will save them. The room does not demand a verdict. The morning remembers its job. I still carry the folded timetable in my left pocket. It warms against my thigh like a small, unlicensed gravity, heavier than paper has any right to be. Proud at breakfast. Touch before arguing. Choose the hard. None of it is noble. All of it is procedural, like track maintenance. Inspect, adjust, and believe the next train can arrive without derailing the day you promised to build.